So as we all know by now, Xbox is dying a slow and tragic death. Ever since the rising the price of Game Pass to $30 a month, the console getting up to $800, we hear now that Target and Walmart are no longer going to be stocking Xbox stuff. Costco already confirmed that they're not no longer stocking Xbox, and it's just really sad for people who loved Xbox and Xbox 360, some of the best consoles of all time. Just how sad it all went downhill, starting with the Xbox One, and now you got your $30 Game Pass. A Game Pass kept them alive for 10 extra years, pretty much, and they went ahead and ruined that. And I've just been thinking lately what they should have done, because when they announced a Netflix for gaming, everyone was like, "There's no way that could work. It's too good to be true," and clearly it was. They did the same thing as every subscription service. They try to undercut and sell at a loss for a while. I know my first 3 years of Game Pass was $1 a month. I'm pretty sure either $1 a month or $1 a year. Who cares? At that point, it's so cheap it doesn't even matter. I had like 3 years of it, and just like basically felt like for free, and it was a great deal. It was awesome. Game Pass was great. And then slowly, $10 I still feel is the perfect price point for it. $20, that's really stretching it. Like, I mean, like if in an emergency situation or if you have a lot of time, $20, like you could argue, is a fine deal. 30 is ridiculous. Just buy the game. Just buy the game at $30. And everyone knows it. And obviously Xbox is collapsing at this point. There's just no way around it. No one wants to touch the thing. And we'll see what happens in the future. Maybe they have one more generation, one more swing left in them. But I was just thinking lately, I'm like, you know what they should have done? Instead of a Netflix for video games, you know what they should have done? Is they should have done a digital Blockbuster. Hear me out for a second. A digital Blockbuster. Because Netflix for games was never a proven model. Netflix for video content was a proven model. But this for games, for long form games, expensive development cycle games, like it was never a proven concept. It sounds good on paper. I'm sure a room full of higher up managers and whatever who don't actually know anything about games thought it was all buzzwordy and thought it was a good idea. But a digital Blockbuster, hear me out. Obviously, Blockbuster worked. The reason Blockbuster died was not because the business model didn't work. It's because physical media died. And Blockbuster was a rental of physical media. And like obviously streaming was a lot cheaper than renting individually. So for $10 a month versus like, $5 for a week rental. But for gaming, for digital gaming, let's say hypothetically, let's just put some random numbers at it. Let's say for $5, you can rent a game digitally for 5 days. Now in a world with $80 games of all things, that sounds like great of deal as ever. And for how long games are now like around like 40 to 60 hours. So some people would be able to rent the game for $5 and just beat the whole thing and never buy a single game, unless they want to play multiplayer. And that might sound like that's a bad deal, but guess what? They could do that anyway with Game Pass. In Game Pass, you're paying $30 a month. You play a game, you can beat as many. You just subscribe for 1 month of Game Pass for $30 and beat like 10 games, and then unsubscribe. People can do that anyway. So in this rental model, you can rent the game for let's say the minimum is like you have to do 5 days for $5, and Xbox puts all their first party games as a rental option. So you can rent for 5 days. Maybe they have a 10-day rental for $9 to make it sound like it's a sweet deal. Or you can buy the game. So a game like, I don't know, Call of Duty, who's going to rent that game for 5 days? Maybe some people will rent it just to like play the campaign, but basically nobody plays the campaign. That people want the multiplayer. They want to play that all the time. So they'd probably buy that game. Maybe people who don't have the money right now, but they really want to play the first weekend, maybe they'll rent the game. Other games, let's say like a single player, let's say like Spider-Man 2 on PlayStation. Maybe that game's like 30 hours long. Depends on how much side stuff you do. And you rent it for 5 days. You want to try to beat it in the 5 days, but you miss. And now you got to rent it for another 5 days to beat it. And these people who rent, they don't own it. So if they ever want to replay the game later, they just rent it again. And so let's say someone who just lives off of rentals they have a game rented. And why would you stop it at one? Maybe they implement one rental at a time, but why would you stop that? If people rent more games, they're probably not going to play them as long. Like, let them spend their money. But let's say they have one game rented at all times for $1 a day. They're going to be spending $365 per year renting games, which is $5 extra than the $30 price tier of Game Pass. What they're saying is like it needs to be $30 a month to be profitable. So I think with a digital Blockbuster rental service where you rent games for $1 a day, I think that could actually work. And if Game Pass goes away, there's a hole in the market. So, like, obviously, Game Pass at $10 a month had a market. There was a demand for that, but that's no longer there. It's now this $30 a month, and I don't know, this gaming rental service, like with this hole in the market, with games becoming $80 to buy. I mean, I don't know, Sony or Nintendo, like if you guys want to get in on that market, there's a hole there. Like, I think game rentals is the way to go. Some of them, that's just like an extended demo, pretty much. Sometimes they have free to play weekends where you could just play the whole game for like 2 days. I mean, it's like instead of doing any free to play weekends, just have your games as game rental. I mean, in terms of the Game Pass stuff, they could have like done some deals with third party. I don't know if it would be like a system wide, like platform wide thing. Like if you want a game on Xbox, it has to be opt into the rental service, or if like each studio like has to like choose to participate in the rental service, and maybe like to kick off like in terms of like Game Pass, Xbox would pay developers to be like, we want you as part of the rental service or something. I don't know. I don't know what, like, there could obviously there'd be a downside in some less sales, but I think also there'd be some more sales. Like if it's a $20 game, would people be like, would you really want to rent it for $5 if it's $20? It's like, all right, I may as well just spend the extra $15 and own it. And I think just like it'd be better for gamers too in general, like Game Pass. Like when you're playing Game Pass, like when you're on that subscription, everyone who's like used Game Pass probably has experienced this. You just download a bunch of games and you try a game, and if the game doesn't hook you in like 5 minutes, like move on to the next one. Like short attention span. If you rented that game for $5 and like after 5 minutes, if it hasn't hooked you in, you probably be like, well, I've spent $5 on the game. Yeah, sure, you've paid for the subscription, but you have all these options. But that $5 you spent for just that one game, and you'll probably give it a better chance and actually like maybe play and enjoy more games versus like the Game Pass buffet style of like you have all these options. When you have so many options, you have like no options at all. And so I don't know, that could actually just be like better for gamers all around, honestly. And like, I don't know, I grew up with Blockbuster renting games. Like that's how we did it. Like we rented games, and sometimes you rent the game over and over again. I think like Smash Brothers 64. I never owned that game, but I rented that game multiple times. I don't know why I never wanted it enough to like, ask for it, or because like I was too young to like, buy my own games, but like I never really asked for it. I guess maybe I got my fill from renting, but I rented it multiple times. And yeah, there was like other games I feel like I rented that like maybe I didn't like right away, but it's like I had that game for the week, like may as well try it and keep playing it. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, I don't think this is something Xbox will do. I do think Xbox is going to it's gonna go away. Like it's so sad. I don't know if I see Xbox in the next 10 years, and it's really sad. I've been playing Gears of War Reloaded, and it just reminded me how much I love like Gears and Halo and just the glory days of Xbox. And Game Pass, it sounded too good to be true, and it really was. But I don't know. I think I can't help but think it's because the game streaming, the Netflix for gaming, was never a proven model, but rentals was a proven model, and a lot of us probably remember rental services. And I think that could have been a thing, especially in the digital age. Like, why not? You have movie rentals; those are really expensive, though. I mean, maybe $5 would be too cheap. Okay, maybe they would do like $10, and $5 is too cheap. But again, at a certain price point, there's like it could be a good deal, but also it's like maybe a lot of people would just buy the game and not want to waste their money on rentals, even though Game Pass is basically a rental service. You don't own the Game Pass games. And if everyone who like says like, the games are free with Game Pass, the people who are really deep into Game Pass and love that, if Xbox goes away, they have a lot of money to keep them afloat for longer. But like, let's say Xbox truly collapses and Game Pass goes bye-bye. You know, you've guys spent all these years playing Game Pass, championing that you're getting all these games for free, and then if Game Pass gets shut down because Microsoft and Xbox get shut down, you have nothing to show for it. Not that you'd have anything to show for rental, but I think that the rental model could still work in the digital age. And with Game Pass gone, I don't think anybody dares try to replicate that. I know Sony has the PlayStation Plus, but again, their big flagship games, they don't go there day one. They wait like a year or two before they go to PC and PlayStation Plus, and even still, they're only there for a limited time. And then they still pull their big flagship games. Like they're just there for a little bit to try to get some more subscribers into the service. And over time, once they have a big enough user base, enough subscribers, I'm sure they're going to stop those perks. Uh, but yeah, uh, I got that idea. And I just want to make this video because game rentals. Seems like such an old idea, but it seems such like an obvious thing right now to me that could work compared to Game Pass. I think that could work better. I think it might still work. So Sony, Nintendo, if you guys want to capitalize on this hole in the market that Microsoft is leaving, game rentals. Why not? Let me know what you think in the comments. See you in the next video.